Well, I don't know if I can see, or can you see? I don't know if I can see me. I could do it the other way around, but sometimes I don't look right. Okay, let's restart. I don't know if I can see me or not. I've been looking at the Bible, and one story in there just got me wondering. And I knew all about it, but it just never made sense to me. But I don't know. I was just thinking about it. But I was pretty sure it was in Book of Genesis. It's like 10. I don't know. Can't quote me on the. But I knew it was in. I knew it was in Genesis. But yeah, I knew a lot about it. But you know, when I was looking, I bet you it's in Genesis. But anyways, I read it. And just somehow, you ask AI now on the computer. That story never made sense. So here's the computer supposed to, define what the story of Cain and Abel. If you don't know the story of Cain and Abel, it's Genesis chapter 10, all through. It's all over in there. So yeah. So anyways, Cain and Abel is the sons of Adam and Eve. Okay, so Book of Genesis. So anyhow, I'm just like, okay, so Adam and Eve is out of the picture. Now, Cain and Abel, brothers, by Adam and Eve. But anyways, so one's a farmer and one's a shepherd. So the shepherd is Abel, and the farmer is Cain. Now Abel, he's like kind of like a whoop-de-doo. So he's not doing farm work. He's just, well, it's a lot of work. Both of them are a lot of work, but he's a shepherd. So he's kind of like got more money than what the farmer has. So he's a shepherd of the sheep, and Cain is a farmer. Okay? He's just farmer. He's just for good, but Abel, he runs flocks of, so, he's a meat, there's fresh goats, and lambs and sheep and, whatever, he's a shepherd, goats, sheep, cows, I don't know. All right. But the other one's a farmer. All right. Cain's a farmer. So anyways, God comes and says, you got to make a sacrifice, and you got to sacrifice something onto me. So, Abel being a shepherd, he says, well, I will give you the firstborn lamb out of my flock, or not, he didn't say lamb, but the springling, the yearling, the first, when the sheep have, or the cows in the springtime have their baby, you get the firstborn. And then, so he offers that to God, but doesn't really say, I don't know, sacrifices the baby cow or the baby sheep or the baby goat, and sacrifices it, and it gives God meat. Well, right there, that's why you raise it. That's why you give a firstborn, because it's like veal, like a baby cow or a lamb. We don't eat sheep, we eat lamb. You want lamb. Not a baby goat. Not a baby cow. But anyways, what I'm talking about, veal. And anyways, eating baby meat, and so he sacrifices it, gives it to God, and God, he's all pleased. Oh, this, he's pleased. He praises, Abel for everything. Then Cain comes along, and he's a farmer, so he brings him all this fruit and wheat and apples and, vegetables, carrots, and brings him this whole big bounty, and God is displeased with him. So when God gets displeased with Cain takes it on, like, I worked so hard for all this shit, I'm a farmer, I worked harder than my brother. We just gave him a lamb of the firstborn. He didn't do shit, but, he was a flock herder, But I worked the land, and I planted these vegetables, and And now God looks on him with favor and praises him. Yeah, I'm a hard worker, and God looks down on me, and he says, fuck you, fuck you, So Cain lures Abel out, into the field one day. He's like, look at these crops I'm growing. Picks up a rock and smashes him over the head because he's jealous that God, he's like, I work hard for he got out. So he killed, and that's the first murder that ever took place because, Adam and Eve, that's their son. So Cain killed Abel because God was pleased with Abel offering him a sacrifice of a lamb because he was a sheep herder. And when the farmer and the other, Cain brought in his harvest that he worked so hard to work the land for, he worked a lot harder than, his brother Abel. Cain, he was a farmer. Abel was just a sheep herder. I'm not saying sheep herding is easy, but, it's a sheep herder. Okay. All right. Yeah, we get to the moral story. But, yeah, Cain was just a regular farmer. So he got jealous because God favored him, and so he bashed. And when God said, where's your brother? He goes, Cain said, am I my brother's keeper? I don't know where the fuck he's at. Am I my brother's keeper? I don't know. He might be out there in the field. I think he fell down in the mud, hit his head on a fucking rock or something. I don't know. But that's why that story never makes sense. So you look at it and they look it up on AI. What's the philosophy behind the story of Cain and Abel? And it's really interesting what it says. I'm not going to tell you, but look it up. It's just ask AI, what's the story between Cain and Abel, and what's the, like the summary of it, or just look it up. It's interesting. So, keep reading the Bible. A lot of it don't make no sense at all. The Bible, I think, the Bible is in here, and there's. The Bible has really been over translated. Translated so many times, a lot of it's just, what? It's been translated so much, but yeah, it's just like anything. A legend, I'm not going to call it the Bible a legend, but everything's real. I mean, everything has an anchor to it. I mean, there's every story that's out there, there's somewhat of a truth. That's why you got to believe. I mean, if you believe in the Bible, you got to believe in God. And then if you believe in God, then you believe in the Bible. You believe there's a devil, and there you believe. And look what's happening right now. We're going into September. They say September 9/23/25. 9/23, 9/23, 9/23. That's 2025. It's been it's just every time you watch YouTube and stuff, you see all these videos, but they're saying 9/23. So yeah, I mean, I can't even go into it all. I mean, you got so many. Just go on conspiracy theories and all that shit on fucking YouTube, and you got so many fucking people out there with everything from JFK to, Blue Beam. And it's just really fucked up right now. I mean, with the government and shit. So, who knows what's going to happen. And all I got to say is, just like my sister says, pray to Jesus. Pray to Jesus. She believes in Jesus. I know there's a Jesus because there's a story behind it. There's truth in Jesus, but we don't understand it all. We're not supposed to understand it all, but yeah, there's Jesus. Say Jesus. I shouldn't say Jesus all the time, but I always say when I'm like, oh Jesus, like please Jesus, just let me calm down. I'm not saying but I'm like Jesus. So I do. They say that's taking the Lord's name in vain. When I say, I just get fed up. I say, oh Jesus. I don't know. You see a lot of Southerners do that, but I guess, you're praising his name, but I'm not trying to use it in vain or nothing. I'm just saying his name. A lot of times that'll ward off demons. You know. So is it evil that is it bad that I say Jesus when because I'm like, I got all this negative, so I say the word Jesus. Not trying to be, using his name in vain, but like trying to call on him. But anyhow, yeah, it's getting too deep now, so I gotta go. That's for Cheryl. All right, bye.